Will people still be going to college in 20 years? And am I even bothering to save for my daughter's future college expenses? Let's talk about college. The cost of college has exploded over the last 20 years. There is not yet a sign that it is slowing down or crashing. But if college costs continue appreciating at the same rate as they have been, college will, by the time my daughter goes to college, in some cases cost over $200,000 a year. Is that viable? Is that likely? I have to tell you, I don't know. Let's look at some of the numbers. In the year 2000, the cost of tuition at Harvard was about $23,000. In 2023, it is now close to $53,000. This is tuition, to be clear, tuition. Now, you may say, well, there's inflation, but inflation really only explains $17,000 of this increase, which would put this at $40,000, not $53,000. So there's an additional $13,000 here that is actually rising costs. And we very quickly get to the question I just proposed, which is this rate of growth sustainable? And what kind of situation might we be looking at in 20 years? I am very open to the idea that how we understand college could be very different 20 years from now. And the internet has made things very different than it was 20 years ago. It is possible that the high cost of college will make it more and more difficult for people to afford it. The student loan crisis may come to a head as we see more and more people unable to get themselves out of these mountains of debt created by high tuition bills for degrees in fields where they are not going to make enough money to pay off the loans. And this is particularly the case if the government doesn't step in and do some student loan relief, as we have talked about before over on the main David Pakman Show channel. Now, another change that we could see is college going in the direction of being more online. If we think about, okay, what are the factors that could bring the college costs down? Well, one would be a complete and total implosion student loan debt situation. Another could be offering less expensive options for online. We've already seen it to some degree, especially during COVID. It originally was more of like a for-profit college thing, but now it's increasingly becoming more mainstream, although it is not yet totally mainstream. It would reduce the need for facilities, could drop the cost of a degree. It's also possible that the advancement of technology could make it so that current college degrees are less valuable. The counterpoint would be, well, no, the curricula will adapt and there will be new fields of study. College will still be critical. But there is already a shift to some degree towards more vocational and hands-on training as an alternative to standard college education. It's cheaper. It sometimes more quickly gets you working and earning money. Now, I do worry that there is going to be a bit of a class divide, for lack of a better term, with this. And what I mean by that is as follows. If I think 17 and a half years from now, when my daughter would be at an age where she would go to college, if I continue in my situation where I have a very strong network, contacts in so many different fields, in politics, in business, in all these different areas, in so many different countries and whatever, it could be perfectly logical and safe if college degrees aren't required for me to simply help my daughter get an internship and then maybe build a business or whatever the case may be. And not everybody is going to be able to do that. What now might be $200,000, which in 17 years might be $500,000 or $600,000 for a college degree, we could potentially skip that. And I help my daughter start a business. I introduce her to people, whatever. With law and medicine and other fields that require specific licensing, this won't be a factor. But for a lot of people that get their generic college degree, which they use to get some entry-level job, and then you're just working your way up, and the field may be very different than where you got the 4-year degree, what about starting to work 4 years early and taking a different path? I believe that will become increasingly common for people who are well-networked and who can help their kids achieve that. And of course, that will only further the divide. What else is a consideration? So-called blue-collar jobs are still going to be in demand. It's possible that the pay for those jobs relative to the pay for jobs you get with a 4-year degree considering the cost of the 4-year degree, those blue collar jobs could be more and more attractive and interesting. So that could be a shift for sure. And there's also, of course, all of the other important aspects of college, like learning how to think generally, learning how to sometimes live away from home for the first time, the socializing and that part of college. Students probably will still want that. Will that be a reason alone to maintain the college status quo? I don't know. But maybe that would end up getting replaced with something else. Am I saving for my daughter's college education? I am. I opened a 529 account when she was born, and my plan is to contribute to it until I think there's enough there that, with appreciation, it would cover the cost of most of college education. But I'm very open to the idea that she might not end up using it for that. And if that's the case, 529 is relatively flexible. You can change the beneficiary to someone else. You can also take the money back out and pay a 10% penalty plus taxes on the growth, which would be okay because otherwise the money would have been in a taxable account. So I am saving for college, but I am not convinced that she will necessarily use it for that.